just introduce yourself to us and...
Okay, Marie. Colin Kay from Kay Brothers Amory Vineyards. I've been making wine for quite a few years. I'm reputed, the family history is that I made my first wine when I was 6 years old, but that was carefully supervised by my father.
So is there a family, a bit of a family history, is there, in the industry?
Kay Brothers was set up by my grandfather and great-uncle. They purchased the property in 1890 and took possession on February the 2nd, 1891.
Oh, okay.
They bought cuttings from Thomas Hardy's Tintara Vineyards in 1891. They planted a great big vineyard, or nursery bed, and then in 1892 they planted the first the vineyards. The Block 6 Shiraz, we've still got that 4-acre patch, they were planted then. That's the source there. In 1895 they built the first stages of the winery. That was their first commercial vintage. They made dry red wines from the word go. The early business was export in bulk to Britain. That went on, that business from sort of the late 1890s went right on into the 1960s actually.
Oh, okay.
And then about that time we started packaging a bit more of our own product, looking at Australian markets and easing out of bulk markets. Today practically everything we make is bottled, packaged and sold domestically. We operate, we export to USA, Canada, Europe, Asia.
Oh, okay. And so what are you seeing the trends as being now? Since you've seen a few changes over the years, I'm sure.
Well, sure, I've seen some changes. I see what's coming now. There's going to be terrific emphasis on regionality, terroir, and wines are distinctly of a distinct place. The great mass of mass marketing wines, the beverage wine industry, I think it's just seen its days. There's a demand in the rest of the world, much the same thing a lot of Australians are starting to ask for. There'll always be the demand for those sort of
cheap and cheerful.
Cheap and cheerful, yeah, I think that's the best way of putting it. But just the uniqueness, and you can see a group together. I did a dinner last night in Brisbane, about 60 people at it. We served our wines. They're interested to listen, to talk, to discuss. And when a little maker like me can turn up and gather 60 people into a gathering, I think there's something working for us.
That's good. And do you think at present that the export market is being a bit compromised with so much wine, the dollar, everything's kind of
well, the dollar's
a bit
getting
hard.
a bit strong now. You've got the compromise market of the sort of cheap, cheerful, low price point. That is damaging the Australian market, but at the same time we've had US export markets go a bit flat on us seemingly. That's been more an importer issue than a distributor's issue, because the distributors, we've just discovered, where are these wines we used to get? We need these products. And now that's relatively high price point wines, quite a substantial group of small Australian makers. And the distributors are saying, look, where are they?
Okay. So it's trying to make your presence felt again.
To rework things and bypass certain personalities. But,
So was it a foregone conclusion that you were going to go into the industry? If you made your first wine at 6, I suppose it kind of was.
Well, this is it. I mean, I can claim an affinity now with 50-odd vintages. That's a lot later than 6. I went off to boarding school, or primary school. I went to boarding school, went to Roseworthy College. I graduated from there in 1963. I worked in the McLaren Vale for a few years, and I went from 1966 to the end of 1969. I was a bit of a roamed around the world. I think the best way of describing it. One of my exploits was to have ridden a motorcycle all over the USA in 1967, 68.
Oh, okay. It would have been emerging then as well, the wine industry in America.
Yeah, well,
there would have been a lot going on.
I remember calling on Robert Mondavi on the day he took delivery of his first batch of oak barrels to mature wine in.
Oh, well, that's come a long way since then, hasn't it?
Yeah, so this was in 1967, and I walked in there, the young winemaker. Oh, come on, you've handled oak in Australia. Yes. What do we do next? Do we have to season? Do we have to do this or that?
Oh, okay. Okay.
So it was quite an interesting little sidelight, one of those experiences. And Robert's grandson turned up at the winery early this year, introduced Robert Mondavi, and I thought, it wouldn't be Robert's grandson. How do you work that out? And I told him that little story, and he said, oh.
It is a good story. And so Europe as well, did you go for the European experience in winemaking?
I looked a little bit in Europe. I haven't worked in Europe at all. Strangely enough, my main overseas working experience in winemaking was research in Ontario, Canada in 1967-68, where I worked for the Horticultural Research Institute of Ontario.
Oh, okay.
And then I got home at the end of 1969, and I've been based on the home vineyard ever since. Done a bit of winemaking consultancy work, served on various industry bodies. Now I'm just happy to be a winemaker roaming around the country trying to flog a bit of good stuff.
That sounds good.